This is my recently purchased Moda Finale. Just thought I'd do a quick video on it because I know when I bought it there wasn't a lot out there really on the motorbikes in general, and specifically this model. So as I say, it's the Moda Finale frame. It's in the pearl white. It comes out really nice. I don't know how well it's coming across on the camera, but it really does come up nice. It's not a flat white. It has got that little fleck to it. I had it made up as a frame set build, so it's the standard builds. The closest I could get to was with the Spinergy wheels, and I wasn't a big fan of those, so I decided to do it from the frame set up. So I've been really happy with the spec that I picked. We're starting off with the frame, so it's an Aero frame. It's all fully integrated. You see it, the cables are fully hidden all around the stem. So basically it uses what they call the DIDA internal cable routing system. So the cables literally come round and out the back of the bars into this stem and then down the front of these spacers, and those spacers fit really nicely with the stem. I did go for the Moda bar and stem, so it's the carbon bar and stem, and I do think it finishes off the bike quite nicely. Frame itself, as I say, it's an Aero frame. It's got a bit of a Pinarello look to the fork. It's got the kind of the sweep to it. And in terms of tyre clearance, because that was one thing I was interested in, they state 28, but this is these are on 28C wheels with 21mm internal rims, and I don't know how well that comes out on camera, but there's plenty of clearance there. I mean, I'd happily probably go up to a 30 if necessary on there. But yeah, so the frame and fork, so the frame set itself, the bike itself has been really good. You can really feel it on the headwinds. I think obviously the wheels make a difference there as well. So they are slightly deeper than what I had on my previous bike. So these are the wheels are Ryot fast forward Ryot 55s, so 55mm deep. They're 21mm internal width. I think they measure something like 28mm external. So yeah, they are quite a wide wheel, although nowhere near as wide as some of the hunts and stuff go up to these days. But they ride really nicely. It's my first go on tubeless tyres as well. So these are the Conti GP5000 tubeless tyres. They're in a 28mm width. And yeah, it rides really nicely on those, and I probably run it higher pressure than I need to. I run it at about 80 psi, where I could probably get away with 70 quite easily. But you can really tell on the broken roads that it's a lot more comfy than my old bike. So, which was the previous bike was a Cannondale Super 6 from 2014, and that ran on really a maximum of 25mm. I think the internals on that was 19mm on the wheels, so it was narrower tyres. And when I've ridden these back to back, you can really tell this. It's a much more forgiving ride now on these wider rims and wider tyres. Other parts of the build, I've gone for Ultegra 12 speed, the new Di2. And it's fantastic. Really happy with that. It's my first disc brake bike as well, and I mean discs. I definitely wouldn't go back to rim brakes. I'm a heavier rider, sort of weighing about 97 kilos. Yeah, disc brakes for me definitely, especially when it gets wet. Rim brakes on my old carbon wet rims were kind of like a wing and a prayer if it was going to stop. So yeah, really happy with that. And the shifting on the new Di2 is fantastic, especially the front. The front shifting on the new Ultegra Endurace is very good, very sharp. I've come from ETAP, so it was a bit different because obviously I'm used to the single buttons on the levers. What I've done on these is I've configured it sort of close to ETAP, so the front buttons on each side move the rear derailleur inboard and outboard, and then the back buttons move the front derailleur inboard and outboard, and set up like that. With, I mean, I've been on ETAP for years, so I just couldn't get used to, my muscle memory just wouldn't cope with changing to Di2. I kept misshifting and hitting the wrong buttons. So that was kind of the closest I got to. The hood buttons are really handy as well, so I've configured those for scrolling through the pages on my Garmin, and then some long presses. Long press on this one starts and stops the Garmin, and long press on this one I think it brings up the map page. I don't really use the long press on that one that much, but the start and stop and the scrolling through the pages is really handy. Obviously I've got the K-edge there, so I can put the GoPro underneath and the computer on top. As I said earlier, it's a carbon bar and stem. There is a little bit of flex in the front end, but I mean, you know, I can put out well over 1,000 watts in a sprint, and I do use my arms because I have got a rubbish sprinting position anyway. And I don't notice it really when I'm riding. I only notice it when I've got it in the stand and actually trying to play with it. So that all seems good. Yeah, what else? I've still got the Vario radar on there. I've got a Most saddle, which is the saddle that comes with the Pinarellos, because I actually test rode a Pinarello Prince and a Pinarello Dogma last year. Those bikes were great, and I just really like the saddle, so I got the Most Lynx Superfast, I think it's called. So it's the carbon railed version of the saddle. It's quite a nice saddle, short, stubby saddle. I think I've got the angle a bit wrong at the moment because I tend to find I slide forward a little bit, so I need to tweak that. So I've also gone for Speedplay pedals. Never used them before, but when I had the bike fit for this bike, he noticed that my left and right legs, not so much leg length, but it's just leg extension. My right leg wasn't extending as much as my left, so he put a shim in my right cleat on this side, and I found that the shim on the Look Keo cleats, I just couldn't clip in. Because you end up putting your foot into the pedal and the shim catches and not the actual cleat. So I decided to have a go with Speedplay, and actually so far I've been quite happy with them. It certainly solved the clipping in issue, because the way that you shim a Speedplay cleat is totally different. As in the way it interacts with the cleat, the shim doesn't get in the way at all. So it certainly solved the specific problem that I had. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have stuck with Look cleats, because I've had Asioma Duo pedals for a while, so I've been on Look Keo, and before that I think I had a Garmin Vector 2, so I've had those kind of cleats for a long time. But yeah, so far quite happy with these. I love the fact that you can adjust the float really easily, and you can do the inboard and outboard float on the cleats separately, and you don't have to remove the whole cleat. So yeah, that's good. Another thing on the bike, I've got the Stages dual-sided G3 power meter. It's a bit odd for some reason on the Ultegra one. They don't have the little Stages logo on the drive side crank, but it is on. If you look at the outside, you've got the little Stages logo there. I actually quite like the fact that that logo isn't on this side, but yeah, I've checked that power meter against my Asioma before I did get the Speedplay pedals, and yeah, the accuracy looked pretty much within a few watts. It was fine, certainly enough for me not to bother about it. So yeah, the only thing I would like is it's a shame that it's not a rechargeable battery, but yeah, overall the accuracy's been really good and it's been reliable. And so the shifting from the Groupset is good. Brakes wise, as I say, it's my first time on disc brakes, and I've got 160mm front and 140mm on the rear. I say first time tubeless as well. I'll see how I go with those. I'm not the world's best home mechanic, so I'll be intrigued to see what it's like when I first have to change the tyres. But yeah, so far so good. So yeah, hopefully if anyone else is looking at the motorbikes, it will just give you a bit more to look at. I'll try and put some pictures on the end of the video as well, because I don't know how well the video will show it really. The main reason I went for Moda is my local bike shop, which is the Gorilla Firm in Oundle. they obviously a Moda stockist, and they mentioned it. And when I looked into it, I was basically looking between this one and a Pinarello F5. Which I've always been a bit of a fan of the Pinarellos. I quite like the look of them, and they ride quite nicely. But it was kind of a case of a Pinarello F5 with much lower spec, or this Moda Finale with pretty much everything that I would have chosen anyway. I mean, unless I'm going to win the lottery, I'm not going to have Dura-Ace. So, but you know, it's got a really good set of wheels. Oh, I forgot to mention on the wheels, I went for the version of the fast forward wheels with the DT Swiss 240 EXP ratchet hubs. So I'm a big fan of DT Swiss hubs, so I was pleased to get that. So that was the thing really with the F5. It would have pretty much been stock with Shimano 105, and I maybe could have upgraded the wheels, but I couldn't have upgraded the group set. And so this one, I've got the group set and the wheels that I wanted and the power meter. So I've literally got everything I wanted. The frame set was around £1,300, and they sort of built it up from there really. So yeah, I can definitely so far highly recommend it. Done quite a few rides on my local loop, and comparing it back to back with the Super 6, it certainly seems a bit quicker. I've not done any testing, if I'm honest. I'm not really bothered about testing it. It puts a smile on my face, so that's the main thing really. And yeah, so if you do have any questions, feel free to post them, and I'll get back to you. Brilliant, thank you. One thing I did forget to mention was the weight. So as you see it there, but excluding the Varia and mount, so with the cages and the computer mount and the pedals, it's bang on 8.5 kilos, which for a sort of mid-tier Ultegra bike, and I mean the wheels aren't the lightest weight, they're very strong weight, they're not the heaviest, they're sort of about 1.6 kilos for the pair, but yeah, 8.5 kilos for that bike. In for comparison, my old Super 6, which is quite a lightweight bike, that was about 7.5 with pedals and mounts and everything. So so yeah, I don't think that's too bad there.